started. Thank you. And while I'm not one of the speakers this evening, I just had a feeling I had to say one more thing. And that's that I want to thank everybody again for being here. But also, I think as we all witnessed downstairs, Floridians' engagement in history, I have a feeling that tonight that we're going to experience something historical. So thank you all for being here. It's a great night to be in Tallahassee, Florida. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to a moderator. Thank you.
My name is Michelle Mooney, and I'm curator here at the museum. And we just like to welcome you to opening night of the Civil Rights in the Sunshine State exhibit. If y'all can fill out those surveys, our event tonight is sponsored by the Florida Humanities Council, and that would help us out. We're real grateful to have that grant. Now, I'd just like to remind y'all of a few events before I introduce our prestigious speakers. But on Saturday, we have our second Saturday program, and it's 11 to 12:30, and these fine people right here, Peter Cowdery and Carol Curry, a civil rights veteran herself, will be having a family-style event. Will be a hands-on activity. There'll be a presentation of civil rights history, and there will be freedom songs. Carol's bringing her choir, and it's going to be fabulous. And on November, let me get the date right, November 29th, Thursday, Mr. Rodney Hurst will be here. He led the Jacksonville Synod movement as a teenager. He was president of the Youth Council of the NAACP, and he's a wonderful presenter. So, let me start with our speakers here. On your far left, Dr. Anthony Dixon is here. He's a professor and teaches at FAMU, and he's published several books, including Florida's Negro War, Black Seminoles in the Second Civil War, 1835 to 1842, Up from Incarceration, Volume 1, Dispelling the Myth of the Thug Life, and also Florida's African Diaspora Timeline this year. I also have to say that Dr. Dixon, he's the field director of the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network, and he has helped us out so much with this exhibit, traveling the state, negotiating loans for us. He helped us get the Harriet T. Moore artifacts from the Harriet T. and Harriet B. Moore Center in Nims, which is near Cocoa. And also he helped us with the loan from the Jacksonville Theater and Museum, as did Adama Kutola. Is she here? Oh, she's here somewhere. Anyway, so we're just real grateful to have your help, Dr. Dixon. Now, Mr. John Dewey, of course, is a civil rights pioneer. He is a civil rights attorney. He has never stopped working for justice and equality to this day, and we are so delighted you're here. Thank you for coming, sir. And I would just like to 80th birthday. And finally, Dr. Robert Hayling. Dr. Robert Hayling is an American hero and a civil rights leader. Yeah. He was leader of the St. Augustine movement in 1963 and 64. He was born in Tallahassee. And after serving his country in the military, he went on to become a dentist and took over practice in St. Augustine. And he could have led an easy and privileged life, but he didn't choose to do that. He has an unyielding sense of what is right. And he endured threats on his life. He endured having his home, his neighborhood, his family shot at. And he was undeterred. And when the NAACP became uncomfortable with the direct actions activists in the city were taking against segregation, he called in Dr. Martin Luther King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to carry on the fight. And even to this very day, he still calls on us to reject fear and live by our standards. So it's just wonderful to have him here tonight.
Good evening. It is definitely my honor and privilege to sit with these gentlemen tonight. We're sitting with two pioneers of the civil rights movement, not only in Florida, but in the United States. And so it is, again, it's my honor and privilege. So what I would like to do this evening is to have you reacquainted with these gentlemen or get acquainted with these gentlemen. And I just want to basically talk to them under two ideas. First, historically, to give us a sense of Florida during the civil rights movement, and then to get their ideas of where we are today and where they think we are headed. So I'd like to start with Mr. Duke. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us your actions and your part of the civil rights movement in Florida and in the United States?
All fired up?
Yeah. Let it go!
I am so happy to have the opportunity to be with my client, Dr. Hayling. Still trying to keep him out of jail. And he doesn't mind the business thing August State too much because there's still some serious court orders around there. I came to Florida in 1960 to go to Florida A&M Law School. I am from the North. Now, if you begin to try to understand history in the black community, there was sectionalism within the black community about the North. Black folks in the North felt they were superior to black folks in the South because most of the black folks in the North were colored black folks, which means that they were the children of slave owners. And they had to come to Indiana and other northern states to escape the laws of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia that said that all free Negroes had to leave the state in 30 days or they will be captured and sold into slavery. So my forebears, being colored Negroes, owners of slaves at one time, came to Indiana. And the northern black folks always had that superior attitude about the South. But this is about Dr. Hayling, and I'm going to rush his history more a little bit. Miss Cruz, will you stand, please? I know you're about older as I am, but Priscilla Cruz. See what she's doing? Law. And she is a Banks. Every people out there are Banks. The Banks are people who are descendant of the Creek Indian tribe that was connected to the Seminole Nation. Now y'all know about the Seminoles, right? But the Creeks were a part of a significant part of the Seminoles, so that when General Jackson came to North Florida and Chattahoochee blew up Fort Negro because of the role of the blacks with the Creek Indians. The history of the civil rights movement did not begin in 1960. It began really then. And the reason I'm wearing my Cherokee medallion is because the Cherokee Nation was fighting with the Americans to beat the Seminoles, because the Cherokees, being a civilized nation, they were allies with the American government. And then one day some Georgia farmers found some gold in Georgia, and that was the end of that. And the Seminoles had to take a little walk to Oklahoma. But they couldn't take their black slaves with them. And one of the slaves was Annabelle Beartree, a black Seminole, and she was sold to my colored forebears as they went to Indiana. So I feel I have a responsibility to be part of this affair because of being part Cherokee. We have a big part to play into the mess that we have here in Florida. Now, Dr. Hayling, it was Patricia and I were married on January the 5th, 1963. She had a full scholarship at Howard University, but she dropped out of Howard University to come back to A&M, and I don't know why. I think she came down to get me. And she was already engaged to an Anglo person, right, Priscilla? But she wanted me. So when she said she was going back to New York because that was, being what I needed to be, I decided I needed Patricia. And so we got married in January the 5th, 1963. Shortly thereafter, Patricia was into everything. The movement had gone beyond the sit-ins and the freedom rides to direct action against movie theaters. She got a phone call from a Dr. Robert B. Hayling in St. Augustine. And they were so happy talking to each other because she was part of the family of Dr. Hayling. And Dr. Hayling said, Patricia, we need help for CORE since you're working for CORE. President Johnson has a plan to have the Democratic Convention on Miami Beach. This will support the Kennedy administration. Now, we want to show America that there should not be any Democratic convention on Miami Beach until racism is solved in Florida. You've got to help us, Patricia. Now, before I knew it, I was in St. Augustine with Dr. Hayling. Now, before I came to St. Augustine, I had met James Bevel, Phil's secretary for SCLC. And he was telling me about the big plans that he had to have a big program in Alabama, just like Mississippi. But he did not know that Dr. Hayling and his friends learned that King was in Orlando. And Dr. Hayling went to Orlando, said, look, I need some help. Because the NAACP had kicked me off as a leader of the youth council, being the support for the youth council of the NAACP. Now, you have to understand that the NAACP is a national corporation, and as a corporation, they can be put out of business. So the NAACP was very conservative about supporting direct action activities. SCLC is not so disposed. So Hayling met with Dr. King, and Dr. King said, yes, I'll come to St. Augustine, and you know the rest of the story. What happened is that there was all kinds of retaliation against Dr. Hayling. McLean and the others, the night riders, began to shoot in this house. And Dr. Hayling, being from the Air Force, he was not necessarily dedicated to the principles of nonviolence. And I'm not going to go any further than that because I'm still his attorney. And there's still some, unsolved questions about it. Nevertheless, that's how it happened. Dr. Hayling and his family have suffered a whole lot because of what happened during the struggle. You must remember, young people, the struggle of civil rights did not begin in 1960 with Patricia and Priscilla. It began way back in the early part of the 19th century when Americans were fighting the British and the Spanish about Florida. And they had their allies to the Cherokee. So this story is a continuing story. And the reason I'm so happy that you all are here, particularly the young generation, you have to be serious about critical thinking. You cannot just accept what we did in the 50s. You have to be critical about learning, ask questions, because you have to decide, where do we go from here? And I'm talking about last night. What happened last night is a continuation of an old struggle. As you all, as a new generation, have to begin part of a new struggle and plant seeds for my great-grandchildren so that they can survive. Thank you.
We've heard from the museum, we've heard from Mr. Dew. Now I think it is definitely time to hear from Dr. Hayling himself. So without further ado, Dr. Hayling, tell us about Florida and
Without friends and supporters and believers, I wouldn't have a story. Because as a native Floridian, 85 years ago in November, on a rainy this November evening, a son was born to Charles and Cleo Hayling. And this son was named Clark. So that tells you 85 years ago, I claimed Tallahassee as home. My dad came to Tallahassee in 1925. We had 4 children in the family, 2 boys and 2 girls. All graduated from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical College at that time. My father was an instructor at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical College for either 33 or 35 years. One will be very close for the years, per se. And my mother was dietitian and head cook at the nursery school for 25 years. So we are Van Ewens and Van Seans and all the others through the core. And tonight I had such a great surprise that one of my neighborhood buddies and friends and whatever, and by chance, we always called him Buddy McGill. And now I have a classmate, Queen Margaret Bruner, who is here also. And my sister, younger sister, would have been here and whatever, but she had just recently returned from New Jersey on a business trip and all, and I thought coming this far at such an early time would be a bit taxing. And my brother was 18 months older than I am, had survived 5 major medical crises, including triple bypass. So he also sent his best regards. We have claimed 222 Young Street for better than 40-some years as our homestead. And that home went to my oldest sister, who died in 2005 from aneurysm. And my niece inherited the house. And those kind of things. I'm giving you that background to say that the mud and the red clay of Tallahassee is so deep that I don't know how much further I can step into it to prove to you that I am a native Floridian and born and bred in Tallahassee. Now, the same railroad track that runs right south of the Capitol here in August of '51, having graduated from Florida with a major in biology and a minor in chemistry. I enlisted in the Air Force. And by chance, there were 12 of us, and 4 blacks and 8 whites, and that included whites from Wakulla and from, I think, Quincy and Havana and all around. Now, why the sergeant gave me the portfolio for the train that included the meal tickets and everything else and what have you, that authorized us to ride from Tallahassee all the way to San Antonio, Texas. And then by chance, when they had us to fall out and form units in whatever design, I ended up being head of one of the units. And many of the young fellows from Tallahassee ended up being in my unit, you know. I say this to say that way back then, many of these young people, as well as myself, were being exposed to racial immigration, either by design or with no choice, because the Air Force was the most liberal organization. Army fellows used to come to lectures. Florida and them had ROTC. And many of the officers would be talking to us and telling us about their great Negro soldiers. If you catch that, there's a combination of a word, nigger and Negro. And I said, now wait a minute, I don't know whether I want to serve under an officer, even though he thinks he's giving you a tribute, and he still doesn't know that some of that word is derogatory. So that started me thinking and acting and what have you. And by luck and support, I was also accepted to Officers Kennedy School and graduated as a second lieutenant in class 52D. But I had the good fortune today of meeting a young man who integrated Fullerwood Elementary School in St. Augustine, and now he is a colonel in the Air Force, retired, and his family had their home burned and all because of his integration in the elementary school. There are so many stories and so forth in St. Augustine that some of what Attorney Dew helped us with, and many other magnificent lawyers, William Kunstler and all of Greenberg and so many others and what have you who helped us that I can't even enumerate. And I think you know the story of having the governor of Massachusetts' mother, Mrs. Peabody, to come and go to jail with us for one night or so to show her support for what we were doing. And Mrs. Burgess, who was the wife of the first black Episcopal bishop in the United States, also lent her support, and many other people. I made a connection to Yale University when students from Yale gave up their Easter vacation and came to help us in St. Augustine. And that opened the door for my youngest daughter, who also ended up graduating from Yale, and then went on to Stanford for the MBA. Now that little daughter lives in Singapore. And my 2 grandsons came with me in June and said, Granddaddy, that place where your picture is hanging, when we come back to Tallahassee, will we be able to see it? I said, well, they told me it'll be there as long as the Capitol stands. And that was the induction into the Hall of Fame of famous Florida black citizens, and to be included. James Weldon Johnson, who wrote the Black National Anthem, and A. Philip Randolph and all. is just beyond words, because that also includes Mary McLeod and so many other Black Florida Floridians that I'm overwhelmed and speechless at times, because I have met so many magnificent people along the way. And some of my St. Augustine family chose to come and join me here this evening and so forth. I have Cocoa area family members that I called and had to at least ring up to say I'm on my way to Tallahassee and all. And then I have my Fort Lauderdale, Lauderdale family members and so forth. So I've met many magnificent people along this road of life. And without all of you, Queen, did I mentioned Queen, so, and Queen's family and so forth. Now, Buddy Blow came all the way from New Jersey to say that he wanted to be a part of what we have here. And he has offered me so much telephone support and everything else, because many, many times when I needed a person of wisdom and deep thought involved, I knew I could count on Buddy. And he has been a pillar for my entire family and our relationship and so forth. So many things have happened here and whatever and around. I also bought a street sign that they put on the stage. And that's an indication that the house that was dynamited and also shot up on Scott's Place in St. Augustine is now renamed Dr. Robert Hayling Place. John Dew also mentioned that I have another plaque on the other side in the back. We worked with the YMCA in Fort Lauderdale, and the large print on there is the slogan for the program that we worked out for our young people, and it says, "Stand for something." And that's what we have been trying to inculcate into our young people's minds. And I've had people throw back at me, "Oh, you can't say that. Everybody has a price." I said, but there are some things that are not for sale. And that's where we are at this point in time. I can't tell you what your price is, and you can't tell me what my price is. But I can say that I thought surely that by serving this country for 4 years in my prime time, from 21 to 25, that I had earned my citizenship, or equal citizenship, that I found out once we got started. And that's because in St. Augustine for 2 years, from 1960 to 1962, I was a good fellow and had a fairly good practice going, 40 to 50% white. I was city jail dentist, county jail dentist, and state prison home dentist. The first black dentist in the state of Florida. And I'm meeting with the Florida Dental Association tomorrow here about those activities, because I was the first dentist to be accepted in the Florida State Dental Association with full accreditation and participation in membership. Some of those things got tangled up and some got buried in everything once I became an activist. That included the sheriff of St. Johns County, L.O. Davis, had been in my chair as a patient.
Wow. And all his other members.
Wow.
And many of the Klan members and so forth. And I'm Mike here for the TV station, and we had a Mike fellow who infiltrated the Klan meeting. 250 Klansmen caught 4 of us in a car on the side of the road from US 1, looking over into a large field where the Klan had a rally of better than 250 Klan members, and a large cross that they had erected that was wrapped with bags, from burlap bags soaked in flammable fluids.
That's called investigation.
A way of lighting that and marching around that and what have you. And that flag stood for Christianity and the cross and everything else and what have you and so forth. And that was what the Klan activity did.
And they were talking about you.
But when they had announced the Lynch from California, who had been brought in to take this black activist down a couple of notches and all, had also admonished the crowd that they had a black activist in their area called a bird-head bastard of a dentist. The men in the audience were the men that they thought they were and should be, that he should wake up tomorrow morning with a bullet between his eyes. And that is the statement and what they made from the platform of the Klan rally.
Oh, what's that?
But it ended up that we were abducted and taken into the Klan rally once they detected the car and found out who we were, and we were observing everything else and what have you. So the long story of that, in short story, I spent 14 days in the hospital from the Klan beating. Nobody was arrested, and they found a 25 pistol, 25 gauge pistol in the glove compartment of the car that I was in, and the sheriff and the state authorities decided that that was grounds for dropping the charges or whatever against the Klansmen because we had weapons. Now, one gun was weapons. And sure enough, as they checked and all, which I had lost track of, that pistol was purchased under my name. So I had to bite the bullet and say if they considered that equal justice, then that was equal justice. But it's the kind of thing to say to all of you here tonight. We have come a long ways, and yet we have a long way to go. In other words, St. Augustine in 1960 had blacks living in 11 different areas of the city. St. Augustine was not known as a real racist outward community. And we have Fort Mose there, where we had an encampment, and Attorney Duke just got through talking about the junction between there was the Underground Railroad North and the Underground Railroad South. And the end of one of the Underground Railroads came to St. Augustine, and that is now called Fort Mose, for Fort Moses or whatever. And now it's a state park. And when you come to visit, please come and visit Fort Mose, because it's under the auspices of the state now. And we have about a 12 to 15 minute documentary showing the activities. We've attempted to give information on plaques and so forth throughout the ground and the area. But the upshot of that, those activists became irritants to many of the plantation owners, because those slaves who were able to escape came to Fort Mose and joined up with the Seminole Indians, and that was an irritant to the plantation owners. And Oglethorpe out of Georgia came down with his troops once and attacked the fort, and they were able to repulse him and send him back to Georgia. And they went back again, and this time they came by boat and by land, and they overwhelmed the fort. And those people were driven all the way, men, women, and children, on foot. And it's called the Trail of Tears. And the Seminoles now down based mainly in Fort Lauderdale and further down in that area and what have you, because their ancestors were marched by the with our black troops, the Buffalo Soldiers. And some time ago, people were reactivating. If you're in the military, you want to join our organization, Black Buffalo Soldiers. And I said, I would like to if you tell the whole story. Because those people lost people along the way, because you can imagine people being driven by foot from Florida all the way to Oklahoma. And there are areas out in those cities that they founded with the names from Florida, because that's where they came from. So it's the kind of story and everything else. And Tallahassee was a fairly good place to kind of grow up and whatever, because I used to cut the lawn right out here in front of the old Capitol, trim hedges and so forth, and did all kinds of activities without kind of regard to race, but we were just black activists and youngsters who had many, many white friends and everything else and so forth, and somehow race never really, maybe if I think about it, maybe we all knew our place, and we didn't go over certain lines and so forth, and that made it work. Because I also had horses, gated horses, 3 gated and 4 gated horses, and had to enter the horses in state fairs around, and I couldn't ride the horses, but I had white friends that did. And therefore, they received a few awards and things like that and so forth. But those are the stories and times and what have you. And then there was a famous banking family in Tallahassee that came to my rescue many, many times in St. Augustine when we had expensive bills and everything, because Attorney Duke could tell you my office was the headquarters for the activists in St. Augustine. And at one time, I can remember one of the monthly bills was $1,500. And that's kind of a hard little nut to carry at short notice. But as long as I wrote the check on a certain bank with the last name of L in Tallahassee, they carried my account until I could adjust my finances here in Tallahassee. And between my parents and the Florida Indian Credit Union and many other supporters and all, I said back when they had the street naming ceremony and so forth, because some of the people they put out, if Dr. Hayling had to declare bankruptcy, I said, there's a difference between being broke and declaring bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a legal term in a way, and I don't think I ever committed any papers or anything for legality for bankruptcy. But I don't mind telling you that the sacrifices that we had to make and all left Dr. Hayling quite broke. But we have received accolades and awards. We had young people to go to jail from August to January, February of the following year. 2 of the kids, the young ladies, were put in a reformatory school at Lowell for girls in Keller. The 2 boys who are now deceased were sent up to Mariana, to the boys' reformatory school. All their parents had to do was sign the paperwork that had been sent to them from the Attorney General of the state of Florida, that would have pressed charges against Dr. Hayling, which would have been a felony for contributing to the delinquency of minors. Now, can you imagine missing football games, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all of those things, and those parents, because there were 21 members of families, and 4 families persisted. The other families decided they would sign the papers, and those kids would not be activists until they were at least 21 years of age. And that was done by the Attorney General of the state of Florida. So now, good people, I don't want you to leave here depressed. I would certainly hope you would be a bit informed more than what you knew when you came. And now we're going to have a question and answer period, and we're going to try to answer any questions or anything that you have that I did not cover. So please, thank you so much for coming. Thank you to each and every one of you and your families who were activists, who supported us, and we did what we did, and there's still so much to be done. Let's get up and about and do whatever we have to do to make America so that we can say the scales of justice that have been out of balance for quite some time, and I like to say we help move it a little bit more toward equality. Thank you so much.
One last comment.
One comment.
Please don't leave yet.
If you had critical thinking skills, you would ask yourself, how come Dr. Hayling and the other over 3 people were not burned up and lynched right there? Why? Because also at that rally was a member of the Florida State Police under Barrett Bryant. And he had enough sense to know it would not be cool that these 4 people would be killed. So, therefore, he had the sheriff to arrest them so that they wouldn't be lynched. Now, of the day of the trial, I came in the office of Dr. Hayling, and Dr. Hayling's eyes were crying. Because at that same day, President of the United States had been assassinated. And when we went to trial, none of the state witnesses showed up. And I said, Dr. Hayling, I believe that these people were so upset by racism, that they changed their heart. And you know what Dr. Hayling said? Yeah, those suckers just went somewhere and got drunk and didn't show up. And their case was dismissed. All right.
There's an old tale that says, every time an elderly person passes, the library closed. And so I'm glad tonight that I got a chance to visit 2 libraries here tonight. And I hope that you understand the vernacular and the depth of what we talked about tonight, as well as understand the struggles that these 2 gentlemen went through and the things that they laid out for us today. And so again, I would like, before we open up questions, just one more round of applause for the gentlemen. Are there any questions? Yes.
Thanks again for a really enlightening discussion. We all feel very privileged to be here to hear that. That having been said, could Sean or you or anyone to suppress the black vote. And also, the fact that due to the failure of the state to expand Medicaid, a lot of poor people, a lot of black people, as a consequence, were dying necessarily. And I was just hoping you might comment on that.
Well, I must say that we, for some reason, there's a current trend, and when I speak with many young people and so forth, and I've had family members to admonish me to come up to the 21st century and come out of the 20th century, because we have moved on. And there are so many things, as you're mentioning now, that some of us do not know and know what we need to do about them to correct them or help them along the way. In other words, there are some of us who are comfortable now, and Dr. Dixon would know that we had planned to set up a meeting, a conference and so forth ahead of time, so I would know somehow the panorama of the nature of the people we would be talking to tonight, because for some people, things are quite good and well, and they're not dissatisfied. They're not disturbed anymore. As far as they are concerned, they have arrived. And Tuesday gave us a dose of that medicine. And many of the people didn't even care to vote and so forth. And they confronted many of us as activists out there to let us know that they didn't get a job and their times haven't improved and so forth, so they're not going to vote. Now, if they really knew the nature of the system, they reinforced the problems that they're having, because they gave up the one little thing that wouldn't have cost them a nickel or a dime to do to try to help their condition. So one of the excuses I use sometimes when I'm backed into a corner, I say, I have more questions than I have answers. So at 85, I still have a bunch of questions, and I just don't know, and I run across equations and situations that I have no answer for. And I had to acknowledge with Dr. Dixon tonight and all, I grew up in the town and all here in the Capitol, and I thought as a teenager I was up on everything. I knew who owned the Black Theater, Mrs. Yellow Hair, and all the other people, and we kept eyes because I washed cars and bathed with people's dogs and all that kind of stuff. And so I had a little family information and everything else and all. But I didn't even know we had a black millionaire in Tallahassee, John Riley. And we're still trying to figure out and whatever, and I haven't got real high answers on how he made his money or how he got But that also tells you that somebody who thought he was up on the up and up and the inside information and the outside information didn't even know that we had a black millionaire. So a lot of things get by us and escape us, and then some things are so hard to deal with. See, I hate to even describe families, 5, and Mrs. Duncan knows a family of 7 generations who had to pick up and move from St. Augustine once their family or family members became active in the civil rights movement. And I know for sure the hardships I endured. My family had been here for 4 generations, which is for 20 years, that's 80 years, and now I'm 85. So that's 4 generations plus 5 years. And my brother is 86, and my daddy came in 25. So it's the kind of thing that there are situations that many of us still don't understand. Even when the newspapers write articles and whatever, they say he was a dentist and he was an officer in the Air Force. But they don't say I was an officer before I went to dental school. I had given Uncle Sam 4 of my good years and studied and went to school with guys from Yale and Harvard and all the other schools and where I came out of MC. And our textbooks, and we still laugh about this, and many of you would find it hard to understand. You know what textbooks we had in elementary school and high school? The textbooks that the white kids had the previous year. And boy, you should have seen us taking the gum and wax and everything else and scraping and erasing the signatures and the graffiti and everything in the books and putting brown paper bag covers on those books. And we were happy to get those books and whatever. So, but I hope some of you will cut me a little slack when I split a few verbs and mess up some words. I had a second-hand education gratis to the state of Florida. But those were the situations that we grew up under and we endured. And now many of our young black people won't have to add that to their problems in growing up because they didn't have that problem. But they have many, many more problems. And one more thing I want to include, the internet. And some of us are internet illiterate, but we have friends who are internet geniuses, and they have worked with us. And if you get the time, please Google the settlements with Wells Fargo, with Chase Manhattan Bank, with J.P. Morgan, and all of those banks. And one bank that I've been dealing with in the last many months, SunTrust. And the bank officials, a couple of vice presidents, all the way up to the president, assured me that SunTrust was not involved in racial discrimination. And I had a meeting with some black bourgeoisies and this guy, my brothers, colleagues in Fort Pierce, and many of them were professional blacks and school teachers and school administrators and everything. And they kind of shouted me down when I was saying about discrimination, economic discrimination from banks and all. And I ended up and said, oh man, please, with all the settlements that have been made with Coca-Cola and all the major companies for discriminating against blacks, you know no banks or no major corporations and what have come to find out all your national banks, including the one I'm telling you I've been working with, SunTrust and all, have ways of stipulating on the application blanks and all, that they know that the blank is from a black client or a Hispanic client. And they had to settle with the Justice Department, and I can remember right off the top of my head, because Wells Fargo opened up in the former Woolworth's drugstore in St. Augustine, where we had the sit-ins and all, and now they have a mural with my picture and my autograph on their front window. But they settled with the Justice Department for $500 million for the discrimination that they have been doing recently against blacks and Hispanics. Thank you, sir. Oh, by the way, SunTrust also had to sell for $100 and some million. And yet the vice presidents and others that I met with assured me that they would not be found guilty.
Greetings, Brandon Johnson. Was there ever a point when you stepped out in front as a leader in the civil rights movement where you were afraid because of your life and threats against you? And if so, what got you past that to move on and become a great leader?
I have a very good friend. She's not with us here tonight, who helped establish a monument in St. Augustine in what used to be called the slave market, right downtown. And her name is Barbara Vickers. And we were talking about various things, many moons when we were trying to raise the $75,000 we had to raise to erect this monument. And I wish to give credit. The first donation and all we received was from a lovely white lady who started us off with $20,000 on the $75,000 raised. So now we have a monument right in the face of the segregations, because the Klan and also the activists used to rally and march around the slave market. And by the way, in St. Augustine now, it's no longer, even though there's a great big bronze plaque in one of the corners still talking about the history of the slave market, it's now called Constitutional de la Plaza.
So let me jump in and ask you a question here. The night at the Klan rally, was that your scariest night? Was that the night you figured that you saw violence face to face?
I hesitated to answer you directly, because some people see that as being brave and all, and others, including some of my family members, decided that I was stone crazy. To still stay in St. Augustine and not get any help from the Justice Department, almost had the NAACP and many of the white and black power brokers literally turn their back on us, because see, I could take you through a whole little history, but it would be beyond what some would understand. That we were confronting the Vice President, Lyndon Johnson, for coming to St. Augustine to help celebrate and commemorate the 400th anniversary of the founding of the city. And we were outfoxed because we didn't know how to negotiate on that high level. And we asked him not to come. He sent in a representative for about 2 weeks ahead of his visit that included the ambassador of Spain and all the dignitaries and the governor and everybody else and so forth. And they promised us that they were interested in our plight and our problem. And we decided that we would not protest and all, and took the black policemen that we had who patrolled in the black community in civilian clothes at night, and he did carry a sidearm, which was a pistol. And lo and behold, we let them have that activity, that great celebration. It was called the Ponce de Leon Hotel at that time. And the next morning, because all we were asking for was a biracial committee in St. Augustine that blacks and other citizens could come before and enter a protest or offer their grievances to see what adjustments the city would make. And lo and behold, when we went after that great powwow they had with all the Ambassador Spain and all the dignitaries and everything else, and this representative for 2 weeks his name was, went on to become a professor out in Wisconsin and what have you. He's deceased now. We met with the city manager's secretary and her tape recorder. We lost all our leverage and everything. Once they had the meeting and had their affair, then it was over with. And they skipped town and everything, and we heard nothing else from, never an apology from the vice president or anyone in charge. And Mr. Reed and what have you, never, I heard through some reporters and all, he was so sorry that he had to double-cross Dr. Hayling. But St. Augustine didn't have enough leverage, didn't have enough power to confront all the dignitaries and the big people who would have been, I guess, besmirched and embarrassed with such a boycott and so forth. So sometimes you have to lose and learn, because that was one of the reasons now that I have been designated father of the Civil Rights Act, because we had fought almost to a standstill. All the civil rights groups, including CORE, SNCC, SCLC, and the NAACP, and Lyndon Johnson, Kennedy had been assassinated, so Johnson was president then. He wanted a 2-week cessation of demonstrations, and then they were gonna sign the Civil Rights Act. And everybody, Selma, Birmingham, everywhere else, SCLC had functioned and everything else and all, said that they would agree to 2 weeks of cessations of demonstrations. And Dr. King got on the phone and others got around and called Dr. Hayling and the people in St. Augustine and said, how do you vote? And I said, you fooled me once, shame on you. Fooled me twice, shame on me. So there was no cessation, and we were going to continue to demonstrate. And they had to up the dates and everything else and all to go ahead and meet their little time schedule to sign the Civil Rights Act.
I would like to where the people are praying. Real quick. And Mrs. Priscilla is one of the examples of the young people that were in the movement who were not afraid. They had a sense of right and wrong. And if it's wrong, we're going to resist. And they had no sense of being afraid of their life. And I'm talking to young people today. Are you more concerned about material things, working for a big corporation, or are you concerned about what is right and what is wrong?
One last question. Young man in the back. Oh.
Good evening. My name is Delaney Hollinger. I serve as the student body president at Tallahassee Community College. And I'm honored to be here on this evening with Dr. Hayling and Attorney Drew, Dr. Dixon. I see my best friend in the front row, Mrs. Krause. And I want to get Dr. Hayling and Attorney Drew's advice on an issue happening right now in Tallahassee where we are about to lose the old Leon County Jail where many protesters were jailed during the 1950s and 1960s civil rights movement, including many protesters that were led by Patricia Stevens doing Priscilla Stevens Krause. So Mrs. Krause and I have met personally with the City Commission, the mayor, the CRA director, and at this point I'm trying to sort of fight this push by the CRA to tear down the jail, which is in a very popular area right now called Cascades Park. So I would like to get the advice of Dr. Hayling and Attorney Drew on what they believe that Mrs. Krause and I should continue to do to fight the potential destruction of this national historical landmark. And this marked the first time in the country that students chose jail over bail. We have that building in Tallahassee, but it is now in danger of being destroyed. So I would like your advice.
Let me start my big two real quick. You met the Secretary of State a while ago, right? And he was thinking about it would be good business for the state of Florida and for Tallahassee to have a museum in relation to the story. Now, see, Birmingham has done that. Birmingham has developed a museum related to the struggle in Birmingham, and they even got money from the Florida Power and Light Company to support their activity. The same thing in Memphis. There is a big museum relating to the struggle, and it's good business because people come and visit. Now, you know, we have the sidewalk out there. You see the sidewalk? Well, it will be good business for the city of Tallahassee and the state of Florida to make a museum that will include, on a tour basis, the Leon County Jail. Otherwise, the next generation will not know.
Okay, we're gonna let two people, important people in the audience, make a comment. But first, Reverend Steele, I think you should stand up. Reverend Steele spent time in that jail for the sit-ins as well, so let's recognize him.
I was among the very first to go to jail in the sit-ins here in Tallahassee. And I want you to know that that jail, though the building is small now, it was even small. All that building was not the jail. And you would not believe, if you to look at it and look at our system now. Unbelievable.
Mrs. Crowley.
Thank you very much. There's so many things I would like to add to what's out to get said. First of all, I don't know if you know, I've heard of Gandhi. But Gandhi said, and Dr. King listened, that in order to do something in this world or with your life, you have to lose the fear of it. So young people, if you want to do something, you have to choose how you want to live your life and lose the fear of your life and make a difference. In my opinion, integration was a mistake. In my opinion, things are worse today than they were before. People are telling our story and they're telling it our way. The civil rights was to make a difference, and we've made a difference for a short time, but we've gone backwards again. And people will know, parents will tell you their children are worse than they were when we were children. Education is worse. Children are coming out of school who cannot read. Our children are going overseas fighting and dying for no reason, and they have not lived here. You really have to make a difference and lose the fear of it. Integration has taken so much from us. I can tell you because I fought for integration. We've lost our values, we've lost our family, we've lost our education. And you see, it's not better. The people who have made it would have made it anyway. During segregation, during the worst of times, you always found people who made it. This is still always going to be